The ability to remain calm in any situation is not some magical trait possessed only by monks or special forces operators. It's a skill that can be learned through the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. The ancient Stoics, thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, faced exile, war, political turmoil, and personal tragedies, yet developed remarkably effective techniques for maintaining composure that still work today. Their insights have been validated by modern neuroscience and psychology, revealing that calmness is not about suppressing emotions, but about mastering specific mental frameworks. At the core of Stoic calm is the fundamental distinction between what we can control and what we cannot. Epictetus taught that suffering arises when we try to control external events while neglecting our own judgments and reactions. This principle is so powerful that it forms the basis of modern cognitive behavioral therapy. When you feel anxiety rising, pause and ask yourself this simple Stoic question: is this within my control? If it's not, like traffic, other people's opinions, or past events, recognize that struggling against it will only drain your energy. If it is within your control, like your preparation, your attitude, or your next action, then focus your efforts there. This mental sorting mechanism alone can eliminate enormous amounts of unnecessary stress. One of the most effective Stoic techniques for maintaining calm is negative visualization, which might sound counterintuitive, but is incredibly powerful. Seneca advised regularly contemplating the loss of what we cherish, our health, relationships, or possessions. This isn't about pessimism, but about emotional preparedness. By mentally rehearsing challenges before they occur, we remove their power to shock us into panic. Modern psychology confirms this works. It's called stress inoculation. Try this exercise. Each morning, spend a few minutes imagining how you would handle difficult scenarios while maintaining your composure. How would you respond to criticism with grace? How would you handle bad news with dignity? This mental rehearsal builds what Navy SEALs call emotional body armor. So when real challenges come, you're not reacting from a place of surprise, but responding from a place of preparation. The Stoics combined this with a profound gratitude practice. After imagining losses, they would open their eyes and appreciate what they had, creating a powerful double effect of preparedness and appreciation. The Stoic pause is another essential tool for calmness that takes just seconds but changes everything. Between any event and your reaction exists a space, and in that space lies your power to choose calm. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Train yourself to insert this pause through simple techniques. When angry, count to 10 before speaking. When anxious, take 3 deep breaths before deciding what to do. When overwhelmed, say, "Let me consider this," before responding. This creates what psychologists call the limbic break, allowing your rational prefrontal cortex to override your emotional amygdala. With practice, this pause becomes automatic, giving you the crucial moments needed to respond thoughtfully rather than react emotionally. The ancient Stoics would practice this during minor irritations, a spilled drink, a rude comment, to build the skill for larger challenges. Perspective shifting is another profound Stoic method for maintaining calm. Marcus Aurelius practiced what he called the view from above, imagining looking down on his problems from a great height, seeing their smallness in the vast scope of time and space. Modern astronauts report a similar overview effect when viewing Earth from space. Their personal problems seem insignificant against the cosmic backdrop. You don't need space travel to use this technique. When stressed, ask yourself, how will this matter in a week, a year, a decade? Or imagine explaining your current stress to your future self. What advice would that wiser version of you give? The Stoics also used mortality contemplation, remembering that life is short, not to create fear, but to highlight what truly matters. As Seneca wrote, "It's not that we have so little time, but that we waste so much of it." These perspective exercises don't minimize your problems, but help you see them in proper proportion. Stoic emotional detachment is often misunderstood. It's not about becoming cold or uncaring, but about maintaining equilibrium. The Stoics taught to love and engage fully while recognizing that everything external is temporary. Epictetus advised, "When you kiss your child, whisper to yourself, 'Tomorrow you may die.'" This sounds morbid, but its purpose is profound, to help us cherish the present moment without clinging to it desperately. Modern attachment theory confirms this wisdom. Healthy relationships require both connection and acceptance of impermanence. Practice this balanced approach by fully engaging in experiences while mentally noting their transient nature. This creates what psychologists call secure detachment, the ability to be present without being overwhelmed by attachment to outcomes. The Stoics were masters of language framing. How we describe events to ourselves determines our emotional response. Epictetus said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things." Modern cognitive therapy echoes this with the concept of cognitive reframing. When faced with a stressor, pause and consciously rephrase it. Instead of, "This is a disaster," try, "This is a challenge to grow." Instead of, "I can't handle this," ask, "What part of this can I influence?" Marcus Aurelius would reframe insults as opportunities to practice patience, obstacles as chances to develop creativity, and setbacks as tests of character. This linguistic shift isn't positive thinking, but accurate thinking, recognizing that most events are neutral until we assign them meaning. Keep a list of your common stressful thoughts and write Stoic reframes next to them. This builds the habit of constructive interpretation. Physical calm techniques were also part of Stoic practice, though less discussed. The Stoics noticed the mind-body connection, that calming the body helps calm the mind. Seneca described using controlled breathing to regain composure when angry. Modern science shows slow, deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing stress hormones. The Stoic version of this is simple. When agitated, pause and take 5 slow breaths, focusing on the exhale. Combine this with posture awareness. The Stoics carried themselves with deliberate, calm posture, even in turmoil, knowing that physical composure feeds back into mental state. Try the Stoic stance. Stand or sit upright, shoulders relaxed, breathing deep, and notice how it shifts your mental state. Premeditation of challenges was a cornerstone Stoic practice for maintaining calm. Each morning, they would visualize potential difficulties they might face and mentally rehearse handling them with composure. This isn't worrying, it's strategic preparation. Modern athletes use similar visualization to enhance performance under pressure. Create your own premeditation routine. Anticipate 3 challenges you might face today and imagine navigating them calmly. This builds what psychologists call response flexibility, the ability to choose your reaction rather than defaulting to panic. The Stoics would extend this to larger life challenges, imagining loss, illness, or misfortune. Not to dwell on negativity, but to prove to themselves they could maintain equanimity through anything. Stoic journaling was their tool for processing emotions and reinforcing calm. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations was never meant for publication. It was his private journal for self-guidance. The Stoic nightly review involved examining the day's events with detachment. What provoked me? How did I respond? How might I respond more wisely next time? Modern research shows journaling reduces stress and increases emotional regulation. Try this 3-part Stoic journaling method. First, objectively describe stressful events without judgment. Second, analyze your reactions. Were they proportionate? Third, plan a wiser response for similar future situations. This process builds what neuroscientists call top-down regulation, the prefrontal cortex's ability to manage emotional responses. The Stoic concept of Amor, Fati, love of fate, is perhaps their most powerful calmness technique. Rather than resisting what happens, they practiced accepting and even embracing events as opportunities for growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The obstacle becomes the way," meaning challenges are not detours from our path, but the path itself. Modern resilience research confirms that people who practice acceptance recover from stress faster. When faced with unwanted events, try this Stoic reframe. This is exactly what I need to develop. Patience, creativity, strength. This doesn't mean passive resignation, but active engagement with reality as it is. The calmest people aren't those with easiest lives, but those who've learned to flow with life's inevitable difficulties. Stoic social calm techniques help maintain composure in interactions. Epictetus advised, "When someone provokes you, realize that it's your own opinion provoking you." He meant that others' actions only disturb us if we let them. The Stoics would prepare for difficult conversations by anticipating possible insults or criticisms and planning calm responses. They practiced the double perception technique, seeing both the surface behavior and its possible innocent explanations. Maybe they're having a bad day. Modern conflict resolution research validates this approach. Before challenging interactions, mentally rehearse staying calm, regardless of what others say or do. This builds emotional buffer space. The Stoics developed specific techniques for calming anger, which they saw as particularly destructive. Seneca wrote an entire treatise on anger, describing it as temporary madness. His advice: delay reaction. Anger's intensity fades with time. Change your physical position. Stand up if sitting, walk if standing. Use third-person self-talk. Why is John feeling angry right now? Modern studies show all these techniques reduce anger intensity. The Stoic anger process was: 1. Recognize the physical signs early. 2. Pause before responding. 3. Consider the larger perspective. 4. Choose a constructive response. They also practiced preemptive compassion, recognizing that people often act from ignorance rather than malice. For anxiety about the future, the Stoics had powerful antidotes. They focused intensely on the present moment, what we now call mindfulness. Seneca wrote, "The present is all we have, the rest is promise or memory." But they combined this with thorough preparation, what we'd now call stress testing. Their approach was to fully prepare while releasing attachment to outcomes, the balance between control and surrender that creates true calm. When anxious about future events, try this Stoic exercise. Write down your worries, categorize them, controllable, uncontrollable, then make concrete plans for the controllable while practicing acceptance of the rest. Stoic sleep techniques promoted calm rest. They advocated regular sleep schedules, light evening meals, and pre-sleep reflection, but not rumination. Marcus Aurelius would ask himself before bed, "What did I do well today? What could I improve?" This positive reflection, different from anxious overthinking, helped transition to restful sleep. Modern sleep science confirms the value of such practices. The Stoic evening routine had 3 parts. Review the day's events without emotional charge, extract lessons without self-judgment, and set intentions for tomorrow. This process creates psychological closure that allows for deeper relaxation. For maintaining calm during uncertainty, the Stoics practiced what we might now call probabilistic thinking. They recognize that most fears never materialize, and those that do are rarely as bad as imagined. Seneca advised, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." They would confront worries by asking, "What's the worst that could happen? How would I handle it?" This is now a standard technique in cognitive therapy for anxiety. When facing uncertainty, Write down your feared outcomes, estimate their realistic probability, then outline how you'd cope if they occurred. This reduces the unknown factor that fuels anxiety. The Stoics even had techniques for calming excitement and euphoria, recognizing that emotional extremes in any direction disrupt equilibrium. They cautioned against becoming too attached to positive outcomes, as this sets up future distress. The practice was to enjoy good fortune while remembering its impermanence, what we now call emotional regulation. When experiencing strong positive emotions, the Stoics would pause to reflect on the temporary nature of all things, not to diminish joy, but to ground it in reality. This creates what psychologists term quiet joy, more sustainable than frenetic excitement. Stoic calm in the face of pain combined acceptance with mental discipline. They didn't deny pain's reality, but focused on their interpretation of it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Pain is neither unbearable nor unending if you remember its limits." Modern pain management now uses similar cognitive approaches. The Stoic method was to 1. Objectively observe the pain without emotional narrative. 2. Separate the physical sensation from mental suffering about it. 3. Focus on what can still be controlled despite the pain. This approach is now used in chronic pain treatment programs. For maintaining calm during overwhelming workloads, the Stoics practiced what we'd now call single tasking. They focused completely on the present task without distraction, a radical concept in our multitasking era. Seneca advised, "Do one thing at a time with full attention." Modern productivity research confirms this is both more efficient and less stressful. The Stoic work method was 1. Prioritize tasks by importance, not urgency. 2. Remove distractions. 3. Work in focused intervals. 4. Take regular reflection breaks. This systematic approach prevents the frantic feeling of being overwhelmed. Stoic calm in leadership situations emphasized composed authority. Leaders like Marcus Aurelius knew that panic spreads while calm reassures. Their techniques included maintaining steady speech patterns during crisis, making decisions based on principles rather than emotions, and projecting confidence even when uncertain. Modern leadership training now teaches similar crisis composure techniques. The Stoic leader's checklist was 1. Pause before reacting. 2. Consult principles. 3. Consider long-term consequences. 4. Communicate with measured words. This created what we now call psychological safety for those they led. Finally, the Stoics recognized that true calm comes from living virtuously, having nothing to hide or regret. They called this the smooth flow of life, when actions align with values. Modern psychology confirms that cognitive dissonance, when actions contradict beliefs, creates significant stress. The Stoic path to authentic calm was regular self-examination. Are my actions aligned with my principles? Am I contributing something meaningful? Am I growing as a person? This integrity creates a deep, unshakable calm that no external circumstance can disrupt. As Epictetus said, "No one can disturb your peace unless you let them." The ultimate Stoic calm comes not from controlling life's events, but from mastering your responses, developing the wisdom to know what you can change, the courage to change it, and the serenity to accept what you cannot.